in hip hop culture, one of the legs of the culture, of the art of hip hop that to me doesn't get the credit that it deserves is the DJ.
Probably the first element. It's what created what we love.
Definitely. So today we're here to honor that and to talk more about that and salute that with one of the most legendary, iconic DJs and figures in hip hop and radio.
Yes.
DJ Enuff.
Welcome.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. This is a nice setup here.
I appreciate it.
I mean, we trying, man.
Yeah, we have to
Y'all not
celebrate.
trying, y'all doing.
We doing. I like that.
We have to celebrate hip hop properly.
We have to.
Y'all got it on Smash.
Now, first and foremost, thank you for joining us.
No problem.
As somebody in the culture that grew up in hip hop in New York City, I know more about you and have never had a personal conversation with you, which is weird. Like people that I usually know.
Come on, let's get it, man. I mean,
But I want to start at the very beginning in Brooklyn as a young kid. When did you know that the culture of hip hop is something that you wanted to add to, something that you wanted to be a part of, and something that you felt like was very important and dear to you?
it was three things. I mean, I fight amongst myself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who I give more credit to. Is it Africa Bambaata's Planet Rock, the vinyl?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Grandmaster Flash, watching him in Wild Style?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it just seeing Jam Master Jay do his thing at the concerts? So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be Jam Master Jay so bad,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to be technically incredible like Grandmaster Flash. But it was that damn Planet Rock record that made me fall in love with hip hop.
Do you remember the first party you ever DJ'd at?
Yes.
Where was it at?
It was in Times Square. It was a place called Club Negril. It was an African club.
Mm-hmm.
It was on 47th, I believe, in Times Square.
Mm-hmm.
And across the street used to be a club called the California Club.
Okay.
And it was these guys out of Brooklyn called the Love Brothers.
Uh-huh.
And they were promoters and they were doing their thing. And you know, I grew up with them, but they were like, yo, we wanted to DJ this party. And I'm like, all right, cool. We're gonna pay you $300. I said, $300?
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit, it's amazing. Of course.
Yeah.
I would have did it for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so I'm like, okay, cool. But I go to the party, nobody shows up. Next week, nobody shows up. I'm like, what's happening here? Nobody's coming to the damn party.
Right.
So I'm not getting paid my $300
Right.
because it's empty.
What year is this?
This had to be like 91, 90, something like that.
Okay.
Had you been collecting records already, or did you have to?
I was just about in my space of getting records. I mean, I remember going to the record labels specifically. The only one that stays in my mind is I went to Def Jam Records, and there was a gentleman by the name of Bobito Garcia.
Bobito, legend.
Who did promo.
Yeah.
And I was begging for vinyl. And he was like, where you spin at? I said, I'm at Club Negril in Times Square.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, and what else you doing? I said, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he denied my request to get vinyl.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that hurt it was like a dagger in my heart. Because I'm at the iconic Def Jam.
Mm-hmm.
And during those days, it was like that was the only label that really mattered.
Right.
Yeah.
And to not get the vinyl, it just broke my heart. But but I guess Bobito showed me something that we had to put more on our resume than just one thing.
Do you talk with Bobito about that? Have you ever like really brought
No,
that up
we talked years later after that because after he had his run with Stretch Armstrong on the KHC or whatever station, well, I forgot, my bad.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to get him to join me at Kiss FM Radio in my early days on radio.
Mm-hmm.
But he declined me nicely again. But he always showed love. And it was always like this cool thing growing up with this kid in New York City. So it was dope.
Looking at Jam Master Jay, but coming up in the 90s, how did DJing change from the late 80s to the 90s?
All right. So for me, it was more aesthetics, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way he dressed, that damn gold chain. He's damn near touring with the greatest, rap group at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the concerts were like the Fresh Fest, the Crush Groove, whatever it was, 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these played at the Garden, Nassau Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
So you would be in the city and these guys would be like headlining these amazing arenas,
Right.
and they'd be packed, sold out, and hip hop was played in its rawest form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because look, back in those days, hip hop wasn't everywhere.
Right.
Now it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You can't look without a TV commercial, a radio commercial,
Right.
anything in reference, some sort of reference to hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
But back in those days, it was like we would die for any reference in hip hop. So I don't care if a Kellogg's commercial had a little kid doing a backspin or some sort of graffiti or something.
Yeah.
So any element of hip hop, we go crazy for.
Right.
That's the difference between the 80s and the 90s.
How do you feel about the DJ, the element of the DJ now? Do you feel like it's becoming a lost thing? Do you not see as many rappers performing with DJs?
I mean, to a certain degree, yeah, there's some of the art is being lost, and I think it's our job to try to just keep the art form going.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was just listening to, was it Rock the Bells Radio, and Grandmaster Caz was talking about the art form of when artists get on a song with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Some artists are afraid to air out the artist that invited them to come on their song.
Right.
And it's like, there's got to be a way you could air somebody out without disrespecting them.
Right.
Because, it's like playing ball.
Mm-hmm. I got to go at you.
You got to, you have to.
Yeah.
So it should be that friendly competition, where we, I think Swiss B said it's best, right? Because I have a podcast too called Go Talk I'm working on now. Not as big as you guys yet, but hopefully maybe we could work a deal out and cross-promote each other.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I talked to Swiss, and Swiss was like, when I first started Versus, it was at Summer Jam that I did it with Kanye West on stage, right? And I was like, yeah, you're right. He goes, but Kanye's my guest. I didn't want to destroy him on stage. I had it all laid out so we could celebrate hip hop together, me and him as producers. So I was like, that's dope. But Ye went to the left like he always does, and went he went out of the routine that was created.
He went off script.
What?
Yes.
Not Kanye.
So those are the kind of things that happen with the DJ and whatever. Because prior to that, the DJ was everything.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because he had the mic, he had the speakers, and the equipment, and nobody was allowed to touch the sound unless you got down with the DJ.
What were some of the pros and cons of things switching from vinyl to Serato?
Okay. So the vinyl thing was always special because if you don't know, before MP3s and MP4s and any kind of MP anything, we had to go to a thing called a record store.
Right.
And there was these things.
Rest in peace.
And there was these things called 12 inches.
Yeah.
Sometimes even 45, 7 inches, right? Or 10 inches. And we would purchase the song that we want, and we'd put it in a bag, and we'd take it home with us. Like a baby.
Like that sounds so dated, right?
It sounds
You got
crazy.
to hold it? That's crazy.
It sounds crazy.
Hold them.
So we actually got to hold it.
How'd you get it in your iPhone?
And the crazy part, Rory, is that this is the part I miss. Okay. So for me, it was right on the back of the vinyl. The production credits.
Absolutely.
The art
Absolutely.
credits. Whoever the label was signed to, the address of the label, everything. All the information you needed to know was right
there
on the back of the record you just purchased. So now, shout out to my boy Lonnie B out of Virginia. He's part of my heavy hitter family, and he says, yo, this new thing called Serato that's going to change the game for DJs. I'm like, what? But prior to that, we went from vinyl to CDs, and then from CDs to Serato. So I skipped a phase. I don't miss carrying the vinyl.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it was a problem.
Yeah.
I remember going overseas to Japan and all these places, and I would have 3 or 4 guys just to carry the vinyl.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because 4 a.m, those 3, 4 guys are missing.
Yeah.
Because they're either drunk, or they're with some shorty on the side somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And now all my help that I had in the beginning going into the function is gone.
Gone. Right. Have you ever had a situation where like all of your records, your vinyls were lost?
Of course.
Oh my God.
All right.
I don't even want to.
All right.
I feel like every
No,
DJ
not all of them, but I'm gonna tell you one. I was doing a summer jam, I forgot what year, and 50 Cent's performing on stage with the G Unit guys.
This was the chair throwing year?
That's it. So he had beef with Bang'em Smurf at the time, and
Yeah.
Bang'em Smurf and Lloyd Banks and 50, all of them, they're throwing chairs at each other.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Legendary.
Crazy.
Yeah, legendary.
So my DJ setup is at the bottom of the stage at the set,
Right.
for some reason. And during the mayhem with the chairs and whatever, my table, the equipment, and the records fall off the stage.
Oh.
So now we're talking about like. So I had to hit 50 with a bill, like, yo, my man. That's what so I had to estimate in my mind what I thought my records were worth.
Right.
You know, but that I lost all my vinyl like that.
Was that crazier than any times DJing for Big?
No. I remember being in Virginia one time. I did a show with Big, and a big fight broke out.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't the party and bullshit fake fight.
Mm-hmm.
It was the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
A big fight's going on, pa, 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 pa. And what you guys don't seem to understand is a lot of times, like, Biggie's crew is his security.
Mm-hmm.
Biggie wasn't walking around with hired security.
Right.
You know, that didn't come on probably till later on.
Mm-hmm.
But during the time of us doing probably his first album, because he passed away on his second, so
Yeah.
it was only one album we got to perform.
Mm-hmm.
But it's his childhood friends he's rolling with. That's his security.
Right.
It's 7 of us on the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's D-Rock, it might be C Gutta and C's and Kim.
Mm-hmm.
And no disrespect to the Mafia, but they're 14, 15 years old.
They're young.
The
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
And they're like 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, they get busy, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is,
Apparently,
when the fights
when
the fights are going on,
Yeah.
who gets left all the time? The
DJ.
DJ. So I'm fending for the turntables, the
Vinyls.
records, my mixer.
And your life.
Because back in those days, I was lugging my turntables, the mixer, and the crates.
Damn.
So like me on the flights, it was a problem.
Yeah.
Or you take a plane and you show up at a city, and then your
late.
luggage don't come.
Yeah. Let's talk
Crazy.
about how did you become Big's DJ? Like, what was that? What was that process?
So Hot 97, you should do an event called the Players Ball.
Yes, I remember.
This
that.
was our fake attempt at trying to create what a real Players Ball was.
Yeah.
All right. And we dress up super fly,
Mhm.
throw on some maybe gaiters or
Yeah.
some Crocs.
Yeah.
You know, try to get fly, maybe
Yeah.
some suede, some leather.
Yeah. Like
That-
pimps, just say
That's it.
Yeah.
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 I didn't want to say that.
Yeah.
I'll let you say it.
like sex traffickers.
Yeah, I look like something straight out of what was that Narcos show or whatever. But anyway, so that's what the vibe was.
Yeah.
And I remember we did one of our shows at Atlantic City.
Okay.
That same weekend, I believe Mary J. Blige was dropping her My Life album,
Mm-hmm.
and Puff was in town, and the events crossed some way somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Puff was at this hotel, we were at this hotel, and we ended up going to the Mary J. Blige thing.
Mm-hmm.
So at this concert, Puff pulls me to the side, like, yo, I need you to go on the road with Big.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, huh? And I'm baffled. I'm thrown off. And I don't understand what's happening. Because just a couple of months before, when I was at Kiss FM, prior to getting to Hot, because this is a new thing, I just got to Hot,
Yeah.
Puff was cursing me the fuck out.
Mhm.
Like, what the fuck are you doing? Because I leaked It's Ready to Die on the radio.
Okay.
Well, I didn't leak it. Biggie gave it to me, but I
Right.
cleaned it up.
Okay.
And I played it.
Mm-hmm.
So young DJ Enuff didn't understand the financial commitments a record label puts into rolling out a song, whether it's marketing this,
Mm-hmm.
being the first to release that, ad campaigns, this, whatever it takes to put out a single.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever I was doing was actually hurting Biggie as opposed to helping him.
Okay.
Mm.
But you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Right.
Biggie was like, you're my guy.
Right.
Here's my album. Do what you got to do with it.
Right.
So, it's like, all right, the big boss at Bad Boy is saying this, but then the other big boss, because to me, Biggie was the other big boss at Bad Boy too.
Mm.
Absolutely.
So I was like, damn, what do I do? I
Mhm.
went with the guy I liked.
Yeah. And that's how you just became the DJ.
That's how I became the DJ.
I've seen like other interviews of people talking about Big used to like dock the DJs if
$500.
if they screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
How much money are you in debt to the Wallace family?
Just $500.
Just $500.
Only one time.
One time.
Okay. And it was inflation.
I screwed up only one time, and when you're a disc jockey for a group or an artist, no matter who's at fault, you always take the blame because the artist is the star and the star is always right.
That's
fact. It.
I feel that. What's one of your favorite memories in hip hop that includes you, and what's one of your favorite memories of hip hop that does not include you?
Let's do the one that does not include me first.
Okay.
When I saw Dave's De La Soul Dave at the Webster Hall, when everybody came out and celebrated his life.
Yeah.
I was away. So it broke my heart to see that because I felt like I was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But those are all like my cousins and brothers.
Yeah.
Like, we all came up together.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. It's like that was the moment that hurt.
Yeah.
A moment that kind of made me feel like I was a part of it. I guess just being in the Biggie movie, the little part where he's like, "Enough, drop my," and he says my name in the movie. I'm like, I made it.
Even though it was reenacting.
Yeah, some of those moments to me are everything.
Was that Who Shot Your moment in the movie accurate?
No.
Okay. It was embellished to just fit that narrative? Or?
Yeah, I guess. Remember, it's Mama Wallace's story.
Yeah.
So the narrative was Tupac, West Coast, East Coast, West Coast beef, but that's not really what it was. We were in Atlanta. And we were booked to do a Jermaine Dupri show because I think he was doing his So Deaf anniversary concert. 112, Brat, everybody, whatever, was out there performing, and we were there also in town for that. And we got wind that Pac was in town, so the high alert, the security high alert was up. So we'd be in the cars, and then all of a sudden, like there's bouncers jumping on top of me, get down, and we're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Yo, bro, I'm signed up because I love music. Yeah. I signed up because I'm a DJ. I don't want no beef. Right. I shouldn't be ducking in cars. There shouldn't be bouncers jumping on top of me talking about duck.
Right.
What are we doing here?
Yeah. We're making music.
But that's what was happening.
Do you see any similarities, I guess, now with the younger or the new generation in hip hop and how they move around as far as like just with the violence in hip hop? It seems like now it's monetized. Like they actually want people to beef now because YouTube streams are higher when it's a visual with somebody going at a rapper.
Well, I think that's what it is right there. You hit it on the head. Look, in our days when we're doing this, there was no smartphone.
Yeah. When
Shout to the Invisible Bully, D-Rock was walking around with a big camcorder on the road. I'm like, yo, how you carrying that thing with you everywhere? But if he didn't, he wouldn't have had all the footage that he had.
And that doc he put out was incredible.
What's I'm trying to see how we can close.
We can go with the last question that you would have. Probably a good way.
Okay.
Right, cool.
If you had anything to say to hip hop, what would it be?
Pay your artists accordingly. Give some of the pioneers what they deserve. It's unfair that they created a blueprint that is worth billions of dollars, and the guys who created it aren't seeing anything. So if somebody could, I don't know if it's reparations, I don't know what it is, bro, but it's unfortunate that the guys who always created never get no bread. That's the sad part.
What do you think is stopping hip hop from having a union? As being one of the OGs and elder statesmen, it's a question that's brought up a lot, and I feel like
I try to do a union for myself with just my disc jockeys, and I noticed that it seems like the union thing is just like everything else. It's like you got to get your people to believe in the union first, and then you got to make them pay to be a part of the union. And then you got to make sure that you line up benefits for them.
Yeah.
That's probably the same thing. As long as we could figure that out. But then it's like, a young kid who's making millions of dollars is like, I don't want to be a part of no fucking union. I'm making millions. I'm good.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Do you think that that hip hop owes it to the new generation now? Because I notice like a lot of the older artists, they really don't like the hip hop that is of today. And at one point, they didn't like the hip hop that Snoop was bringing in, that Big was bringing in, that Pac was bringing in. So I'm a believer that hip hop evolves and it changes throughout the generations. Do you think that there's the older generation owes it to the next generation to be a part of their career, somehow to lend advice?
I mean, that'd be great. I would like that. But maybe we have to create new terms. Okay, if you look at rock and roll, you look at the tree of rock and roll, of course there's rock and roll, and then there's garage, and there's metal, and there's hair, and there's alternative rock, right?
Different legs,
So maybe we should just create different legs for hip hop. It's the same way. Like, I was listening to Janelle Monáe in my car on repeat over and over again. I'm like, damn, I remember her first EP. I remember playing that on hip hop radio. Because to me, she was hip hop.
Right.
I don't care if she was alternative and from the South and whatever, but she had elements of hip hop, and I dug her, and I was like, this is fire. That doesn't mean I'm not a hip hop lover or DJ.
Right.
You know, so I love supporting the alternative or whatever swings left. But, you know, we got to swing. I mean, as long as we swing back right, I'm cool with that.
Has there been any gatekeeping you feel from DJs in particular?
You said what?
Gatekeeping.
What about gatekeeping?
I mean, obviously because things shifted with radio and the internet, but I've noticed a lot of the younger DJs don't really aspire to go towards maybe the radio route or where their elders went.
Yeah, because the guards have changed and things have shifted. Like, you guys got an incredible podcast. I'm an OG. I got to do a podcast to stay current. So that's it. That's the same thing. That's what it is. My man, supermarkets been selling trash to us for years. All of a sudden, organics now in the supermarket, you know, farm this, no GMO that. It's the message finally gets across what's beneficial for your body.
Right.
So even in the hood now, my man Pat's here on the side. He's my best friend. He's been vegan for over 10 years. So I've seen the change of how things change. Like, we used to go to supermarkets and be like, yo, there's nothing in here, bro, for you. Nothing. And then now you go to any supermarket, you even go to a local deli bodega, they have organic produce and products in there. I'm like, this is crazy. So we just got to assimilate and change when we have to.
I feel that.
If you don't change, you get lost in times, bro.
That's a fact.
That's it.
Quick, okay.
Do you think that, because something I was thinking about when we knew we were going to sit down with you, whenever we talk about MCs or whenever people talk about, you know, people put out these lists and everything, whenever they say MCs, I feel like Biggie doesn't get the MC credit. He gets the rapper credit that he obviously deserves. But I feel like MC is something that Biggie was and was one of the best as far as my time. Why do you think that people don't look at Big as an MC and just say he's a great rapper?
I mean, I don't know where you're looking at, but I see him as one of the greatest. But maybe it's because his lyrics were very simple, and he's not like the total opposite would be like a Pharoah Monch, who used like intellectual, you know, space words, you know, that kind of stuff. And then you got people like Nas who kind of like said things backwards. Like, who says half a hundred?
Right.
Right?
Yeah, right.
That was the first time I ever heard that.
Right.
Half a hundred. Or who says, you know, there's certain ways that people express themselves. It's just different. So maybe that's why.
I heard something, I heard that there's a thing going on now where they're trying to say that hip hop, the first hip hop party may have actually been in Brooklyn. They're saying that there's a flyer that it was before the party in the Bronx on Cedric Avenue.
Bro, I've been going back and forth with this same topic for the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And from people who say Herc actually in a different interview said this date.
Yeah.
As opposed to the date that we're all celebrating.
Yeah.
And then there's proof that other people, you know, so it's always a thing, but I don't know.
I just know
Listen,
it's going to be a thing if Brooklyn had the
I was
hip-hop
3
party.
or 4 years old, so there's no way I wouldn't have the answer to that because I wasn't outside.
Right.
I wasn't outside.
I just feel like if that was true, they would not stop talking about it.
Of course.
Yeah.
You're not going to give Brooklyn that and they're going to shut up about it.
Yeah, like, because if it comes down that Brooklyn had the first hip hop party.
By 1980, we would have known.
Yeah, yeah.
Who would you say is your top 5 DJs of the last 50 years? Doesn't have to be in a particular order.
Wow.
And you can include yourself.
No, I'm not going to include myself. I mean, there's DJs I love to listen to, and there's DJs I'm afraid to DJ after.
Okay.
All right, so listening to, I love Clark Kent.
Mm-hmm.
I love Boogie Blind.
Mm-hmm.
I love, I even like D-Nice. And I say that funny because it's like D-Nice used his old school blueprint and his quarantine time to actually blow up. You know what I'm saying? And that's the stuff we've been playing our whole career.
Yeah.
We can't count him out because he was there too.
Yeah,
He was definitely there early. D in his hat. I like him. I like what Cassidy's doing with the Pass the Mic shit. That shit is fire.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my ideas I wish I would have thought of. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Why you ain't think about that? You know what I mean? You slap yourself like, psh, what's wrong with you? Why you ain't think about that? Shout to him for that. In my heart, still love Red Alert.
Yeah.
Red Alert just knows, I think his song selection is just impeccable. It's just crazy.
What's can you explain DJ etiquette at a party? Say there's 3 DJs on the bill.
Okay.
It's a 5-hour party. What's the unwritten rules?
All right, so I don't know. I was raised up in the Flip Squad DJ area. This was a crew of DJs, right? So it was Funk Flex, Big Cap, Frankie Cutlass, myself, DJ Red, Cypher Sounds, Mark Ronson. Just to name a few. I know I'm missing a few. Budokan.
Rest in peace, Big Cap.
Yeah. So, and when we used to DJ and open up for Flex at the Tunnel, there was rules. Couldn't play the hottest record out because we're the opening DJ. So there had to be like a soft R&B or a soft kind of like calm reggae, kind of like, because dancehall was hip hop's partner.
Yeah.
Growing up in the 80s and 90s in New York. So those were like guaranteed you has to do's. But when the big DJ came on, you had to make sure it was wide and open for him or her to do their mother effing thing, and you could not get in the way. Don't mess up. Don't play the hot-ish. Don't go crazy. Just warm it up and keep the vibes going until they get there, and then boom, let them shine.
How does a DJ get to that point where you're no longer the opener? Now you're the main. Like, what happened?
When the main DJ says, it's almost like they passed the baton to you. You know what I mean? Like, I remember doing a brand Nubian album release party, right? And it's the first time I'm DJing with Red Alert. Red Alert goes to the bathroom, and he's like, "Hold me down." I turn the party upside down. Red's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, what did I do wrong? Yeah. I didn't get the etiquette at the time. I didn't understand it. Okay. You can't upstage the OG. You know what I mean? You can't. It's just not right.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way and got cursed out by Kid Capri at Coney Island when we were doing an event.
No way.
And Kid Capri was one of our headliners, and he pulled up. And I don't know, I forgot who was DJing at the time, but I went to go get him to bring him on stage. He's like, "I'm not going up there." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "He's playing all the hot records right now. I'm the headliner. Fuck this." I was like, "Well, guess I should have known about DJ etiquette." You mentioned the Tunnel, and I always say to Mal, I think his family ruined nightlife in New York.
Yeah.
How has club culture changed throughout the years? You feel?
Okay, so in my day of coming up as a disc jockey, all we cared about was making the audience or the crowd dance. That's it. And we would literally leave the party soaking wet. T-shirts, soaking wet. I mean, dripping. You're like, woof.
Right.
But you know what? You danced your ass off. And that was the thing. Dancing was the thing. It was the thing.
Yeah.
So, and then bottle service came and destroyed everything. Yeah. Your family was in charge of that?
Rockefeller. Yeah.
They did a lot
horrible.
of that.
Horrible guys. Yeah. So, and then, you know how you could tell a nightclub is a bottle service club? Just look at the couches. Yeah. Look at all the holes that the couches have, because the females go on there with the high heels and those, and the pumps go right through the couch.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd be like, yep, there's a woman there standing there at one point, or a drag queen. Either or.
Inclusive.
I'm just saying, this is New York, man. This is New York.
We really appreciate you coming up.
Anytime, guys.
Well, thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done in hip hop.
Thank you for having me.
everything that you've added to the ecosystem of hip hop, to the culture, everything that you've done for radio. I think that you've made it. You're one of the DJs that made it a reality for young kids growing up to know that they can reach heights of being on the radio every day.
They can.
Going from DJing for their friends, doing parties, to having now a whole conglomerate of other DJs. So thank you, DJ Enuff, for everything that you've done for hip hop.
Thanks for having
and
me.
cheers to 50 years of hip hop.
Man, let's keep it going. Thanks for the conversation.
No.